guys, welcome back to our channel. We are Twin Talk.
I'm Jewel.
And I am Juliet.
And we are twins. As you guys know, we are Twin Talk. We are 80s babies. And our channel is really dedicated towards
laughter.
Laughter.
We like to laugh. You guys,
telling our
as you get to know us, we like to laugh. We share life stories.
Yep.
And we just have a lot of fun. You know, laughter can be cathartic, can be healing.
It's good like medicine.
And we just want to use this channel to inspire you guys through our life lessons.
Yes. I want you to laugh too because this is what they call part 2 of Green Acres.
Green Acres.
We're going to give you guys a little bit of snapshot, just a look into our life as we kind of move from Detroit, Michigan to a small town in Northwest Ohio. So we're going to go with Green Acres too. This is life on Green Acres.
Life on Green Acres. So our last episode, we were talking about how we transitioned from Detroit
Yes,
to
the culture
Van
shock
Wert.
that it was.
And it was a culture shock because again, we went from being the majority to the minority.
No blacks.
About 20 other black people in the town.
14,000 people.
14,000 people. And it was a very small town as in comparison to Detroit, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
You know, when I think about Van Wert and when we initially got there, I think about just the community was so different.
Absolutely.
The charm was so different. We talked about how living in Detroit, we had a community within our community with the kids that we ran around with. But it was not like Detroit because in Detroit, I remember my father being the only male, the only father on that entire street, on that entire block. And when we moved to Van Wert, like everybody had a mom and a dad.
Yep.
I mean, that was the majority. So I remember in the early days, they had parades for everything. If it was 4th of July, if it was Memorial Day,
absolutely,
whatever the holiday was, they had a parade, and it was a community event.
It was.
Everybody from the entire community went.
They came out.
Grandparents, the dogs, the cat.
Everybody.
And it would be like everybody would come downtown. Now, mind you, downtown wasn't like your big city downtown. One light, not one light, but there were a couple of lights straight through this strip down that they called downtown, and everybody would line the streets. And it would be like the kids would be driving up in their wagons.
They did.
If it were 4th of July, everybody had on red, white, and blue.
Yeah, they did.
The kids would be marching in the parade.
Even the dogs marching in the parade, you guys.
Right. It was just a real good community affair. It was like apple pie and
ice cream.
Absolutely.
But I think the thing I liked the most, Juliet, was it was called sesquicentennial. So
that was 150th.
Yeah, 150th year celebration. I never knew what a sesquicentennial was until I moved there, and they put out all the stops of that sesquicentennial. Can you say that word? But it was it was awesome.
It was so much
but you guys, they were celebrating the 150th year. The whole town came out. Even like I understand the paper was like a budget for the sesquicentennial.
It was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. And I think my fondest memories was when we went to the school. They had what they call a cakewalk. Now I had never done a cakewalk at all before. The cakewalk was when you took and you actually marched around. Musical chairs.
Okay.
They had numbers on the floor and you just marched around. When they called your number, you would win a select prize. Now they had like cupcakes, pumpkin cakes, all kind of stuff. But it has
all moms like donate.
Donate. It was home baked goods.
Yeah.
One mom must have been a baker because what she had a Pac-Man cake. That cake, you guys, was huge, right? It was yellow, and I loved Pac-Man at that time.
That was everything.
It was everything. I remember she said, "Okay, march around. We're gonna give out for the Pac-Man cake." And I'm like, "I want the Pac-Man."
Everybody wanted the Pac-Man cake.
Everybody wanted that Pac-Man cake. Okay, we're marching around. All of a sudden, she says, "Stop." We're looking around. She says, "Okay, number 12." I was like, "That's me." You guys, I was like with that little Pac-Man cake.
We were all happy because that Pac-Man cake was coming home with us.
It was like 2 layers.
Very cool.
Huge cake. She had the yellow. It looked just.
I see it right now, Jill, in my mind.
I love that cake. And I think when I jumped up, I was like, I won. Juliet won. Emmett won. But we were all happy because that was gonna be our cake.
That cake was coming. So Jill won. She secured the victory for us.
Yes.
But
that
was wonderful because they had
awesome.
Guys, they did all kind of little small town things. Like they had
the whole
year sandbox.
The whole year celebrated.
But we got the sandbox, so they had buried a bunch of 50-cent pieces.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. So we took home a bunch of money.
Yeah.
We won
the red wagon.
Yeah. It was just so going from Detroit to like this small town where they really had a sense of community. It was really different for us. Like on Friday nights, I can remember it was our mascot at the school was the Cougars, the Van Wert Cougars. And the city
Friday night.
Football Friday night. the city shut down for football
Yeah, they
games.
did.
Like everybody
Everybody
came
went.
out
Yeah,
because everybody knew somebody on the football team.
they did.
So like,
Support
and
them.
after football, you would go to Pizza
Pizza-
Hut.
yeah,
The
Pizza
Pizza Hut couldn't even hold everybody, so people would sit outside.
Yeah.
Families
It was
would go to
cool.
Pizza Hut. It was just like one of the traditions that I remember
Yeah.
really, really
It
deeply
was
from
fun.
Van Wert.
Yeah.
We weren't older at that time, but the high school kids would go cruising.
Yeah, it did.
Cruising is so funny, guys.
You guys, it's like a Happy Days. It reminds you of a Happy Days. Go ahead, tell
Yeah.
them, Jaleel, they did.
Okay, I thought you were gonna, but that's fine.
Mm.
Cruising, the teenagers would get in their cars and they would just go around
Circle the block,
circle
guys,
the
circle the
block,
block, circle the block.
and
They played their
they
music.
play their music. They
kinda-
talk to their
yeah, they
friends.
did. Yeah, you
It's
talk
just
to the
like Happy
corners.
Days, like you
Yeah,
said.
it was so
It
cool
was.
because I remember we used to get out the car and we would talk to our little friends. And by the time our other friend came back around with the car, we're like, okay, we'll see you later. And we jump back in the car.
Even though you just left them at school 2 hours ago.
Yeah, but it was kids, their parents had like these expensive, nice cars. We call them the rich kids.
Yeah.
They would take and drive around the little Corvettes and stuff. It was like a time when everybody came out. It was just a cruising.
And the police let you.
Yeah,
Remember, they
because
never
it was
stopped.
so in order.
It was a Van
Yeah,
Wert thing.
it's a
It was.
tradition,
It was so
yeah.
cool. And so I like have that
Yeah,
memory.
cruising. Oh, that was so much fun.
I had that memory, and then I think about our dad. Our dad was a country boy. Remember, he was from Mississippi,
Mhm.
so he was like a fish out of water in Detroit.
He was happy to be.
He adjusted so well
yeah.
to Van Wert, and like we used to on Saturdays, we would get up, we'd go to the rec center.
Yeah, we did.
were all around
In
Detroit,
Detroit.
going to the library, different things, and it like we slowed down so much.
We did.
Because like now Saturdays became like I remember we'd be sitting around in our pajamas.
We did. Oh,
And my dad would
yeah, I
go to
loved it.
it was a bakery in the city, in the
Yeah.
town, and he would go
Butcher shop.
butcher shop.
It was
thank
butcher
you.
shop.
There's a butcher shop, and he would go and he would get the thick cut bacon,
Yeah, he did.
and then he would make homemade
You
biscuits.
guys,
Melt in your
I
mouth.
can put on Jemima
Slap
out of
your
business.
mama.
They were that good.
Homemade biscuits.
They were.
I
The
oh,
butter.
yeah, that man could make a
And
biscuit.
see, if he was living, he could have
Man.
marketed that and made money.
Yes,
off
he
that
coulda.
biscuit.
Like I have tried, Jewel. I cannot make
know.
the biscuit.
And it was like it was like, I think he had milk, buttermilk,
Buttermilk.
flour, and
Mhm.
butter. But the way he mixed it, you guys,
I don't
melted
either.
in your mouth.
Yeah.
It was, remember, it was flaky.
Yeah, it was just the best biscuit. But
Saturday
more than
morning,
that,
yeah.
more than that, it would be us, the 4 children, my mom and dad. We would just sit down, eat breakfast, and
Yeah.
just talk about our week. He would tell us about work.
Yeah, he
We
did.
would tell him about school and new friends or whatever was going on.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we really got to slow down.
We
when
did,
we
we
moved
did.
there. And he was also a fisherman and he
Oh,
was a hunter.
All that.
He
all
was
that.
all of that. So like fishing was like, my father went out and got us all fishing poles.
He did.
He did, remember?
Remember, I had a bamboo pole. Because
That's
I know how to
right.
cast it.
That's
I know how to
right.
cast
That's
it.
right.
He
I
gave
think
me
we
the
all
bamboo
had bamboo poles.
Yeah.
In the
because all
beginning,
bamboo
before
poles,
we learned
yeah.
how to cast.
Yeah.
But we would go fishing, and it was like a family event. And now my father was a stickler.
He had
was
no
like,
filter.
He was like, when you go fishing. Now, we like to talk. We like to laugh.
You
And
got
my
to tell
mom, in between here,
We get
it was
from
a
her.
whole nother story. So
Yeah.
we would talk and laugh, and my father was like, "Shut up, be quiet, be quiet."
In this country. Shut up.
And it was like, excuse us,
Yeah.
So
We
we
got
got
to say that to him.
right. We didn't say that to him at that time. We were young. We knew better, but it was still like it would, kind of took the joy out of
We're
it.
trying to the fishing hole. Nobody's saying anything. I want to talk. But
Exactly.
remember, he said, "You're gonna scare the fish."
He was about
The fish
being-
even really hear.
Right.
They see worms, but I don't think they hear.
Now they don't hear, but it was really about
It was
being
serious.
quiet, going into nature,
Yeah.
and he wanted to embody that
Yeah.
whole thing, like
Yeah.
hunting. It was
Keeping
the
it
same
peaceful.
thing. Get up in the tree stand, be quiet, don't make.
Spray on the deer spray. That.
Yeah, oh,
A knee spray.
totally.
Yeah.
He was involved. He was totally engrossed in it, and it was so
He
funny
was.
because we got to the point where we didn't like going anymore. We stopped going.
Yeah.
So my dad would bribe us. He would say, "Okay, if you want to go fishing with me,
I get you some chips.
we're gonna go to the store. You
Banana
pick out whatever,
sausages?
yeah, whatever you wanted." So we would go to the store,
He did.
and for a little while it worked.
It did.
It worked for a little while. We would go. We would say, "Okay, we're going fishing or hunting. We're gonna go. He's gonna let us get whatever snacks we want to get." But then we got a little older.
Yeah, but he didn't know how to come home.
Oh, that's true, Julie.
He
Oh
would,
my
he would
God.
get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Y'all, yeah, it was early.
Hey guys, get up. Got your snacks.
Oh my
Ready to go. But you guys, he wouldn't even come home until like 11, 12 o'clock that night.
He just stayed out there.
He didn't know how to come
all day,
home.
all day, and it just
It
said,
drained us. I was like,
at that point, we were done.
Yeah.
My poor brother was the last one that had to
Yeah.
hang on because he was the boy.
Yeah,
But at some point,
I did not like it.
at some point, we said that's it. for
Mosquitoes
us.
are biting us, and
Yes, it was bad.
it was terrible. And he
It was
was
bad.
not catching any fish.
It was so bad.
We had to sit out there for hours. I was
Yes.
like, ugh.
Yes, but
Yeah.
but those are the things I
Yeah,
think about.
good
and I-
memories, though.
very good memories. Now,
Remember you caught that big old carp?
oh, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
You guys, oh,
I never
that
forget it.
carp was like probably 70 pounds.
Oh, probably, and I was so mad because I was trying to ring it in, trying to
we
reel
my
it
dad
in,
to help us.
and he had a net, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Help me, help me!" And everybody was all screaming and
He
hollering,
said,
and
"Yeah, but I got a
excited,
little carp out there anyway."
and the fish got off the line,
Yeah.
and I was like, I wanted to cry because
Juliet was so upset.
you could see it as it was
That fish,
flopping.
you guys, that fish was huge.
It was huge. I wish I could show you the video.
But he
The
told he
fish-
said, "Oh, it's just a carp. Don't worry about that."
and he let my fish go.
But you know what he said though? The carp, you guys, they eat up all the
The bottom
trash from
feeders.
the bottom feeders.
The bottom
He was
feeders.
like,
So you
"You
don't
the
eat-
carp."
But I wanted to see how big my fish
I know,
was.
he's like, "It's okay." It was like, "Oh,
It
that
was okay for you. It wasn't okay for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So with that being said, he also was. When I think about him, he was also a gardener too. Because my dad grew up on a farm,
Yeah,
and y'all, we were in Detroit. So if you want something, you go to the grocery store. Like
yeah,
Jules said, corn was in a can, peas were in a can,
yeah.
carrots. We didn't.
We didn't-
never seen.
Thought to see or think of where it came from. We
Never
thought
thought about it. Just go to the grocery store.
Yeah,
That's where it was
just
coming
get
from.
it. Yeah,
And when we got there, one thing my dad went, we had he took and went and bought a rototiller. And
He
he
did.
made a garden spot
yeah.
in the
At home in the
backyard.
backyard. Yeah, he did.
And he got us involved in that. And we
Yeah.
I hated it at
I
first
know.
because I had to get down in the dirt. We had to take
Pull up all
he would give
those
us a hoe,
weeds.
pull up the weeds,
The whole garden.
hold a garden, make a straight line so you get
Yes.
the seeds in. I mean, he taught us everything about garden. And then I remember when it started to turn,
Oh yeah.
because remember
yeah.
every Saturday he would say, "Go look at your garden,"
Yeah,
go
he
see
did.
what's going
Yeah,
on.
he did.
and the seeds started peeking
I
through.
remember that watermelon. I was
I'll
like,
never forget
we
it.
got fresh. We can eat these.
We saw a
watermelons.
little bitty
I
watermelon
loved
coming
it,
off of
yeah.
a stalk.
Yeah.
Now for some city kids to
That
go
was
from
everything.
you go to the grocery store if you want to get a watermelon to seeing that thing grow, it like created a love for me.
It did. He had
Garden.
corn right there. He had tomatoes. He
Tomatoes,
had peppers,
snap
greens,
peas, potatoes.
Potatoes.
We saw it all.
Remember, I said we were like potatoes. They are up under the ground. You have to.
That was
out.
That was yeah.
We were shocked.
That was fascinating to us.
Me too. Me too. I
And
thought so too.
and again, he took that too far.
Oh.
He took it too far because he made us get out there and all summer and take care of that garden. And then he had the nerve to go buy an acre of land.
Oh,
Remember that, Jewel?
Yes.
We called it the garden spot.
garden spot.
The garden spot. Y'all, he grew bought an acre of land
Oh.
and had us maintain this plot of land,
Oh.
this garden for like, wasn't it 2 or 3 years?
Yes, it was.
What my stomach would start turning when he says time to go to the garden spot.
I hate
Because it took
doing
several hours on a Saturday to
Yeah.
go do the garden spot. Go and snap
And you
them
guys, he
peas
didn't care. He was like, he could be there all day.
He's
long.
country
I'm like-
boy.
I'm like, we were trying to be with our friends.
Well, we were getting older, and that stuff was like that was a turnoff.
Yeah, it was.
But
we had to do it.
We had to do
We
it.
had to do it.
We had to do it. It developed a
You know,
lot
it
of
was so funny, you guys. My
patience.
uncle Pookie's best uncle ever. My mom's brother, right? One time he called her. He says, "Hey, Ronnie Ann, what are you guys doing?" She said, "Oh, we're eating." He said, "What you having for your dinner?" She said, "Oh, we're eating greens, cornbread." He goes, "Y'all living hard there, right?" Because he's sitting. They're sitting there. You said greens was
I
like
remember
for
he did say that.
Thanksgiving, Christmas. He goes, "Ooh, I feel bad for you guys." But we were like, "We don't living hard. We're just living off the land."
We living off.
But that was so archaic to them.
We
We were like,
became little country mice.
bumpkins.
We
Yeah.
did. We became country.
Yeah, we were
I
country.
mean, and for our family, I remember our little cousin. Now remember, y'all, in the last episode we told you we were the older cousins.
Yes.
So we were the mother cousins, which meant we took care of them.
younger cousins.
And when we left Detroit, one thing
Yeah,
my
I
mom
love
was
that.
purposeful about. My mom and dad
She
were
said,
purposeful.
"Don't see him again."
Every summer we would go get them, and they would come and spend the summers with us.
Yep, they did.
And in the beginning, they loved it. Now, remind you, they were younger.
Yeah,
They were younger, so it was different for them, just like us. We were excited about it. They had excitement, but it was funny
They got
because
older.
as they got a little older through the years,
Yeah.
they didn't want to come anymore. When they
It
would
was too
come,
slow.
they were bored. It
Yeah.
was, it was too slow. And they started coming and then would go home before the summer was up.
Yeah, but we knew time
Because it was like they were no longer we were kind of, I would say we weren't as close anymore because the things that we enjoyed doing, which were they worked
Yeah.
little things,
Yeah.
they were growing up in a big city.
Yeah.
And this was,
It was just too boring.
it just wasn't for them. So
Yeah.
that's kind of one of the sad things. We
Yeah.
could see the distance between
Yeah.
our cousins becoming greater. But nonetheless, with that being said, I can tell you, I have some very fond memories, Jewel, of when we grew up and how you know,
I did too.
just the fishing, honey. I see now how all of those things help develop patience,
They did.
peacefulness,
Yeah.
stillness,
And then when you
quiet.
can actually go out there and plant a garden.
Yeah, that was
This is
something
one
for
you
little
know
city
what?
kids.
When it comes down to it, if we had to survive, we could actually survive. We know how to
We
till
sure
the
do.
land.
We
We
sure
know how
do.
to fertilize the soil. We know how to do all that. And I love growing flowers.
Your
I'm
garden-
convinced.
Y'all, Jules' yard is just beautiful.
I love growing.
She does
all
such a
kinds.
good job with her landscape.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that it was
Because of that. Yeah.
because of our
A
dad
love
had
of
us
the,
together.
nature.
a
Yeah.
love for nature,
Yeah.
getting in that dirt and
Yeah.
becoming one with it, as they say.
Yeah. And we did. Yeah.
So, but you know, even in all of those wonderful memories, you
Yeah.
know,
There was some hard times.
there were some hard times. We had to face, you know, some,
I think our first time facing racial prejudice.
yeah, really.
And we were
Really.
like, wow, this
Really.
does exist.
We had when we moved there, there was 6 elementary schools.